Welcome to We Chat Divorce. Catherine and I welcome Vicky Townsend, founder and president of Divorce Right. Our episode today is all about divorce in the workplace. Divorce your spouse, not your employer. In this episode, we will discuss steps you can take to manage your job and career and how to effectively prepare to minimize the risk of financial and emotional damage. But first, let's meet Vicky and say hello to Vicky. Hi, Vicky. Thanks so much for being with us today.
I am so excited to be with you ladies. I'm big fans. Thanks so much for bringing this topic to so many people that don't actually understand what actually happens in this process.
Absolutely. So, Vicky, as I said, is the founder and president of Divorce Right, a divorce mediation, divorce coaching, and consulting company serving companies and government agencies in the US and abroad. She was also the co founder and former CEO of the National Association of Divorce Professionals, a professional association consisting of the licensed and certified professionals that serve families going through a divorce. And after a painful divorce filled with errors and a labyrinthine, I love that word,
Labyrinthine,
system,
yeah, labyrinthine.
labyrinthine system that no one in the real world could negotiate, Vicky decided to radically improve a broken family law system. And after a decade in the divorce industry, she saw the problems facing not only the employees, but facing a company's culture and bottom line as well. So again, welcome, Vicky. We're really excited for our conversation.
Yeah, thank you. I really I kind of liken myself. I know I look like a Nancy Reagan Republican, but I'm really like a rebel in this industry because our system is broken. The system that we put people through is broken. Like the medical, if you can think of like how our medical system is broken, this system is broken, except the saddest part about it, it's the only system I can think of where you don't know what you're going to pay for it. There's not only no financial incentive to get the process completed, but there's actually a financial incentive to keep it going. And employees are dragged through this system for months, years, and even decades of trying to get through it, not knowing what they're doing. And the statistics show you that an employee loses about 40% of their productivity for about 3 to 5 years on average. Some less, some more, and it's all because of the stress, the conflict, and the chaos that this process causes. And I am here to also say, sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox, right? But I am here to tell you that there is a better way to do this. We don't talk about it because there's no money to be made or not as much money to be made at it. It's kinder, it's gentler, it's faster, and it's less conflictive. And that is mediation. I am a huge fan of it. It is reasonably priced. You don't have to spend your life savings getting through and ending a marriage that's not working any longer. And I'm going to die on that hill that you shouldn't have to spend your entire bank account to end a marriage. Period. The
I
end.
totally agree with you, Vicky, about mediation. However, I'm going to push back just a little bit here. And I first of all,
Oh, it's
before
not
I
for everybody. I get it.
no, I think it could be for everybody, or I'd say 95% of the people out there. But you have to be financially prepared. And Karen and I developed our process at My Divorce Solution to make sure people are financially organized and prepared. So our divorce financial specialists do not tell you what to do, but you cannot go to mediation not being prepared. And if you get
Oh,
yourself prepared and you know your options, you absolutely should go to mediation, because why would you ever want a judge telling you what to do? And why would you want to pay your attorneys 1/3 of your estate? Because it's a third, and a third. I mean, we
great.
see it in every state, everywhere. So Karen and I, right, we started, our passion was because it's such a dysfunctional, archaic system, and it's sad. And when we see attorneys push back to clients, saying, you don't need to get financially informed, you don't need that financial clarity, we're going to get you that clarity. And it's sad to me that that's a conversation that's being held. And it's all because their billable hour will be dipped into.
That's what I'm saying. So you're not
Mhm.
pushing back at all, girlfriend. You're like preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way this should be. This should not in this should first of all, there's money to be made in conflict and chaos, right? There just
Oh,
Every
is.
yeah.
day.
The more
That
chaotic, the more
system,
expensive, and you don't even know how to track it.
right? Exactly. And then the divorce itself, I mean, it I've seen it happen. I've even seen it happen in the collaborative system, which breaks my heart. But even the best of them, maybe who knows, maybe their car just broke down, or maybe their kid just got into Harvard or Yale or Stanford or whatever college these days, because it's going to cost an arm and a leg. Or maybe they want to up, maybe somebody's having a new baby, or maybe they want to downsize, whatever. They want to go on a fabulous vacation. That can sit in the back of their minds, and they can make conflict happen when it doesn't need to happen.
Mhm.
I've
So
seen it happen,
true.
and I've seen it happen.
Well,
Yeah.
Vicky, when we have people come through our process, because I always say, why do we need two attorneys gathering the same piece of documentation, right? And
Right.
so when we see one party hold out the other side, but a lot of times we see the attorneys playing this game because when a spouse participates in our process, they're like, well, my attorney said I didn't need to give that. And they give it to us. It's because they're uninformed and they're playing this game thinking it would benefit them to hold out on something, or the attorney can't find it all of a sudden. So they're requesting it again. But each time that's happening, it's costing the client more and more money.
That
Um,
email alone is 125 bucks,
Oh, that's so
right?
true. I've my experience is in civil litigation for 30 plus years. And I was speaking with my husband, who has been an attorney, or he's retired now for that long. And, he made the remark that family law is really the only area of law litigation where people are paying money to exchange their own information. I thought that was profound.
it is.
And that speaks
I
to
love
how
your husband.
family law just got lumped into every other type of litigation. It's appalling for for the because it destroys families. And I think that's what we're all saying here today. We as disruptors, all of us collectively as disruptors, are forging a path that families can have a better and more gentler way to get through this
Ab-
process.
you know the in our country, it's become a part of our culture that you have to get a shark, you have to get a bulldog, right? I'm going to
Mm.
destroy, right? But that just causes this, and the attorneys go, "Yay!" Right?
Yeah.
So
But
they've
even with that
created.
shark and that shark that you're saying, that bulldog, I've seen people who are referred to as that don't do anything at the end of the day. They send their assistant
Oh,
in to get meeting,
100%.
their
Mhm,
associate attorney in for something else because they're going to be too expensive and you're not going to want to take them. I'm so tired of hearing all of that, honestly. I
mhm.
think that the Americans out there, or whoever, whatever if you're getting divorced in any country, or whoever you are, um, I say that because we're in a few different countries, need to stand up for themselves. They need to get prepared. They need to know their other options, because when we roll this all up, it goes back into the employers, like you mentioned, the people who are working and losing their jobs. And then the employer has to retrain someone who then may end up going through a divorce themselves. And now you're doing it again and again. And the productivity there is
Well,
just.
can I give you some statistics behind all of that
Mhm.
you're talking about at
Hmm.
work? I told you earlier, an employee loses about 40% of their productivity for 3 to 5 years. Well, where does that come from? Number 1 is absences. They have to meet with their attorneys, they have to meet with their financial advisors, they have to meet the realtor at the house to get an appraisal done or show the house. They have appointments with mental health counselors, child psychologists. There's a lot of absences. And the longer that process is dragged out, the more the absences, right? So that's number 1. Number 2 is distractions. The one thing that we don't think about as employers is that divorce is a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 job in industry. It just is. right? So during your work hours, you're going to get calls and emails from your attorneys that say, I need this paperwork, or your financial advisors that says, where's this document? Have you called the bank? Wait a minute, let me call the bank. Do you have this evidence? Let me go through my files. Let me go through my phone. Let me go through my email, and all of that stuff.
And we need
It's
it by
not
9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
right.
Yeah.
The urgency of it all.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to do it. So those distractions, and there are some studies around, you know, about being distracted when you are focused on something and the phone rings, or you're focused and somebody walks into the room. It takes you a long time to kind of get back into the groove of where you were. So just that alone destroys people. Errors. Your employees are exhausted. They're not sleeping, their minds are elsewhere, and they are making mistakes and errors that can, in some cases, so you know that I work a lot with first responders. Those are life and death decisions that these people are making. And to have the stress of all of this in the back of their brains is just nonsensical and horrific and all of the above. The third thing is presenteeism. So presenteeism is, when you're physically at work. This is actually really, really expensive because you're physically there. You're not absent. If you're at a court appearance, they go, oh, she's at another court appearance. She had to meet with her attorney, whatever that is. But when you're there, but you're checked out like this, because your employees are worried about everything. They're worried about how they're going to keep their house. They're worried about how they're going to keep their job, and they're worried about how they're going to keep their children. And if you don't think that that weighs on them until this whole process is over, you're sorely mistaken. Harvard Business Review did a study on presenteeism. It's probably been like 6 or 7 years now, but that it was $150 billion a year problem for corporate America.
Well, it's probably worse now with people working remotely
Well, what do you
because
think? What would you think the percentage of that presenteeism is because of bad relationships?
oh,
Relationships
probably
breaking.
70%.
I would think so too, right? I mean,
Well, not only
what
that, but then you're also talking to your coworkers. So you're stressing your
100%.
coworkers out.
100%. And divorce impacts the team. It impacts the team's productivity by 2% and supervisors' productivity by 1% for each of their employees that are going through a divorce. So there's missed deadlines, right? There's errors in the data that they give to their team members. They miss presentations. They make errors, and it's if we start to see that all of this, and let me just give you one more. 10% of divorcing employees quit.
Yeah. 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 They say they
That's
can't do that.
expensive.
Well, what about when you do take your personal day off and you show up to court, but your attorney cancels it, or the other side's attorney cancels it, or the other
Right.
side shows up unprepared and the judge says, we got to come back again. So now you just
Right.
paid everybody, you missed your day of work. You have to pay your professionals, and then you have to do it all over again because somebody else wasn't prepared, but you were. That to me
Right.
is the most frustrating of it all.
Yeah. And that employee has no control over that,
No.
but has to go back and negotiate for another time away from work. And
And if you're listening
you
to
can see the eye roll. You can see the HR eye roll, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, it's not just the everyday employee who's staffed by someone. We have the CEOs, the presidents of large institutions. It's affecting them too. So if you're listening, it's for everybody out there going through this process.
100. Yes, divorce doesn't have uh, a data point. It doesn't have a demographic, right?
We all have emotions, right? Everyone's
Everybody. I
emotional
mean,
at some point.
if you're in a relationship, there's a
That's
chance
so
that this
true.
is going to
Yeah.
hit you. But let me give
And
you
then
the top 3 reasons that employees quit, so that the people that are listening that are maybe in HR or in the C-suite understand. The
Mhm.
number one reason that they quit is because they felt unsupported and uncared for at work. And that shows up in leave your divorce at home, get that crap out of here. You're missing too much time at work. You're going to be disciplined in whatever way, right?
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
number one. Number two, They can't find affordable housing near their office, right? I don't know if you guys work or have ever worked with certified divorce lending professionals. They have gone through some amazing training. They can help a family law attorney craft a settlement statement so that they get approximately 20% more buying power to
Yeah.
try and narrow that gap that they have, because they've gone from, two incomes to one, right? And the
Yep.
third reason that they quit is they can't find affordable childcare. So what does that mean? Maybe making a deal with a local childcare facility near the office so that they can find affordable childcare. There are programs out there like care.com. They are a part of EAP, employee assistance programs, that if you have any access to making some deals with your EAP program, care.com is a great alternative. They bring childcare to you. And so there are ways, and that, of course, there's always, some supplements for that. Maybe even if you're big enough to have a child care facility on your campus. So those are the top three reasons that people quit. And if your C-suite or E-suite executive quits, you're in trouble,
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
true.
right?
And then layer in the the challenge of a spouse who is told by their attorney or told by the court to go get a job during all of
Hmm.
this. So, our challenge is saying, be careful, because what if you can't retain that job and, your income has been imputed? So that's a very high challenge as well, to try to find a job
Yeah,
when you're trying to navigate divorce. It's very challenging.
it is. It's challenging. It is life altering. I don't want to say that there aren't great family law attorneys out there, because I know a lot of them,
Mhm.
right? I really do. But with that said, there are a lot
Mhm.
of people that do not necessarily have your ending the case as your best interest.
Right.
One of the things that happens on Monday mornings in a family law attorney's office, as you can well imagine, is that son of a big, was supposed to bring back the kids last night at 5:30, and I was going to take them to have dinner with my mother. And he just sashays in at 7:10, never says a word, and drops off the kids, and then we miss dinner, right? So here's what happens, right? It sounds like a 15, well, first of all, that was a 15-minute, well, they bill you in 6-minute increments. So if you go over 6 minutes, you're now billed for 12. So because you know, they're talking, well, tell me about that. What happened exactly? Like, what did he mention why he was late? All of that stuff, right? So that's one. So let's just say that that's a 10-minute call, $100. Now, that attorney is going to craft an email that goes to opposing counsel. That's another 45 minutes. But guess what? It is a copy and pasted email from the email that he or she just sent 10 minutes earlier, from the exact same phone call, different children, different circumstances, always late, always, those challenges with child custody and those types of things. So now he's written his opposing counsel. So now we're up to an hour, right? $400. Now, that attorney has to open that email, call his or her client, and say, hey, you were supposed to bring back blah, 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 blah. It's another $100. What do you want me to say? Okay, so I'm going to send another email, another copy and paste email back to opposing counsel. And the cycle goes on. So that one phone call can end up
And
costing them,
layer in, Vicky, don't forget to layer in the paralegal who has to bill for all of that as well,
right? 100%.
because they
This
have to
thing,
process that information and catalog it and log it. And
right?
so you just have to
That
add on
phone
all
call
of that. Yeah.
That one phone call could end up costing you close to $1,000.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
believe me, if you didn't hear from him back on Monday, which you probably didn't, you probably called them again on Tuesday to leave the same message to hopefully hear
Cha-ching,
from them on
cha-ching,
Thursday. So now it's
cha-ching.
three of
Yeah.
those same messages that you're paying for the same response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a
It's
real
insane.
issue. it is a real issue.
It really is, and it
Yeah,
needs to
I lived it.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And you could just go back and forth. And to your point, Karen, that your husband said so brilliantly, you're paying people to talk to somebody that you're still, related to, and you're paying them for that communication.
Yeah.
When, hey, pick up the phone. Hey, you know what? I'm so upset that we ended up doing it that way. I really wanted to take the kids to see my mom.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor and just be timely? And they
Yeah.
wanted to see their grandmother.
So
So you're listening, you're saying, okay, so what am I doing with all this information? I think what the three of us are trying to say is you need to be prepared. And once
Mm,
you're financially in our world, it's financially prepared. But of course, there's things about your kids and parenting plans. But when you're prepared, you use coaches for the emotional stuff. You get prepared so you know what type of an attorney you need if you need that attorney, or you try mediation. Mediation, when you're prepared, you're speaking for yourself. The mediator is not going to tell you what to do. So you need to know what you want, right? And you only can do that when you're financially prepared. But at least you have an opportunity to be heard, to be under the same roof with the person so that you hear what they're saying. You don't hear the interpretation from another professional. You get to actually hear. And then you're making decisions based on data. And with a plan, you can work more efficiently. You could put your energies where your energy should be. And we are going to trailblaze and try to keep changing this process, but we need the people going through the process to change along with us. And
right,
that is
absolutely.
taking a stand for yourself.
Absolutely. One of the things that I love about mediation, if you know, even if you get stuck on, and there's two reasons that we get stuck, right? We get stuck on money and we get stuck on children, right? Those are the two, right?
yeah,
But at least let's get, who gets the car, who gets the truck, who gets the motorcycle, who gets the boat, who gets the motorhome, who gets grandma's china. Let's get all of the things that we can agree upon off the table. And when we speak to each other to develop some common ground on things, suddenly the temperature can come down in the room and you can start to have more meaningful conversations about the money and about the children without destroying each other, because that's what's, when you go at each other like this, that's where the money comes in. And
Yeah,
it's
just be
giving
careful
nothing
if you're
but
prematurely negotiating something away. So don't say, I want to keep the house, and then you keep your pension without knowing the impact to that.
right.
Um, make sure you understand the impact and what all your considerations are for each asset and each debt. And actually people can get divorced a better way. You know, we've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now, and we see where the pushback's coming, but that's why we like to talk to professionals like you, because we do have one person in mind, and that person is the family unit.
Mhm.
And that's where the end of the day is, that's what matters, because it does affect the employers, that do affect the pricing of what we're paying. Like, it affects everyone. Everything is affected by trauma like divorce. And so if
Yeah,
we can help people do it better, then what a better place we'll live in.
absolutely. And you know, when when you support your employees through the highest stress level event in
Mhm.
their lives behind the death of an immediate family member, when you can support them through this process, you can help them shorten the length of time. So you're reducing the absences, you're reducing the errors, you're reducing the distractions, blah, blah, blah. You're reducing all of that stuff we talked about earlier. And you're also creating a more focused, happier employee that feels like my employer stood with me. And my
Mhm.
worst and lowest time, when I came to work as my worst self, right? So I would thank you for the opportunity for me to kind of get up here and share about why I'm so passionate about what we do, trying to help employees go through this in a better way, because there is a better way to do it. There really is.
there is a there I agree so much. It's with intention, taking one step at a time. So to your point, Vicky, I really liked what you said about, kind of bringing down the temperature. The more you take these steps to be engaged with a divorce coach and to learn through even some of the things that divorce right has to offer, and becoming financially prepared. When you're taking these steps, they are really getting you far down the road to be able to effectively manage your day to day, which includes getting up and getting into work and, completing your day there. So I
And
really appreciate,
yeah, if I
being
could
here.
just leave you with just one thing that we've found is that when we combine divorce coaching with a and life coaching in a mediation setting, we can save just in a simple divorce about $8,000 and 8 to 12 months of time. So if that is not just the answer, I mean, like, I'm not a brain surgeon here, right? I just know that the system has this process has to be done a better way. And I'm grateful for you girls to be doing this, in such a way that families come out better on the other side. That's the way we all have to work at it this way. We're all
Yeah.
rebels. We're all revolutionaries.
Totally.
Even
Yeah,
up
this
front.
is great. All
Thank you
right. Well,
so much for
Vicky, how
having
can our
me.
listeners find you and learn more about you?
Oh, fantastic. I'd love to give you my website is divorcerightinc.com. And my email address is Vicky, and I'm Vicky with a Y. So VICKY at divorcerightinc.com.
Great. So this concludes our discussion on divorce in the workplace. Divorce your spouse, not your employer. Thank you so much for a fantastic conversation.
Thanks so much.